Welcome back to the Ancestral Findings podcast. As the calendar turns, genealogists find themselves at a juncture, caught between the passage of time and the unchanging stories of the past. For the advanced family historian, this isn't merely a moment to reflect on what has been achieved, but also an opportunity to refine methods, revisit forgotten trails, and rediscover the deeper stories that connect our ancestors' lives to our own. This time of year holds the perfect symbolism, a chance to merge past and future into a meaningful present. But what does it mean to turn the calendar as a seasoned genealogist? It's more than setting research goals. It's about immersing yourself in the narrative of history while sharpening the tools that bring your ancestors' stories to life. Consider the story of William Henley, a Revolutionary War soldier whose life was pieced together not by military records, as one might expect, but by the changing dates of tax rolls at the turn of the year. While most researchers might focus on the wealth of pension applications or land grants, an advanced genealogist might ask deeper questions. What happened in the years he wasn't listed in the rolls? Why was his land holdings' value suddenly reduced? It was the seemingly mundane detail of an unpaid tax in January 1792 that cracked open his story. A county court proceeding revealed he had fallen ill and deeded his land to his son before his passing. This detail led to probate records that unveiled a family feud and introduced descendants previously unknown to the living family. The lesson? The turn of the year, whether in tax rolls, censuses, or church registers, often reflects transitions in life. These records are more than numbers. They capture pivotal moments where our ancestors navigated births, deaths, or changes in fortune. The changing of the calendar was a significant event in the lives of our ancestors, particularly when viewed through the lens of cultural and societal transitions. Advanced researchers understand the value of looking beyond the records themselves and instead focusing on the why behind those records. For example, in England, the Julian to Gregorian calendar shift in 1752 meant that many dates were recorded differently in various jurisdictions. Some ancestors' births might appear twice within a year, depending on whether the record keeper adhered to the old calendar or the new one. To a casual researcher, these inconsistencies might seem like clerical errors, but to the experienced genealogist, they're a window into the broader historical context influencing daily life. Similarly, for ancestors in colonial America, the beginning of the year often marked new land leases, renewed legal contracts, and revised community responsibilities. While these details might seem dry on the surface, they're packed with personal and community narratives. Advanced genealogists know to ask, what do these moments tell us about how ancestors navigated their legal and financial obligations? How do they reflect their standing within their community? One of the greatest joys and challenges of genealogy is revisiting the stories we think we've already uncovered. As the calendar turns, it's an ideal time to dust off old research, re-examine sources, and ask new questions informed by experience. Advanced genealogists often discover that documents they've held for years can yield new insights when placed in a different context. Take the case of Sarah Winslow, whose life was largely understood through a handful of census records and a probate inventory. For years, her descendants believed she lived a quiet, uneventful life as a farmer's wife in rural Vermont. But returning to her probate file with fresh eyes revealed a treasure hidden in plain sight. Among the listed possessions was an unusual volume of poetry. Tracing its origin led to a small but significant detail. Sarah was part of a local literary circle, a surprising insight into her intellectual life. This discovery changed her narrative entirely, from one of quiet domesticity to that of a woman engaged in the ideas of her time. It also inspired new research into her descendants, many of whom became educators and writers. For advanced genealogists, the calendar itself can become a research tool. Instead of approaching family history chronologically by year, consider structuring your research around seasons or recurring dates in your ancestors' lives. For instance, some researchers track births, marriages, and deaths to identify patterns within a family or community. Were marriages often performed in December due to agricultural downtime? Did spring planting seasons delay probate settlements? These patterns are rarely evident unless one organizes research around the calendar's rhythms rather than its years. The advanced genealogist also knows that the calendar can reveal opportunities for new types of documentation. Records tied to annual events, such as tax assessments, year-end account settlements, or church tithes, often go overlooked because they seem unrelated to family milestones. Yet, these documents can fill in gaps in a timeline or provide indirect evidence of an ancestor's activities. As genealogists, we often think of the new year as a moment to look back, but it's equally important to look ahead. Each ancestor we uncover adds depth to our understanding of the present. What traditions do we carry on today, perhaps unknowingly, that they pass down through generations? What values and lessons are encoded in the stories we discover? The calendar turns for all of us, not just in the changing dates, but in the ways we shape and pass down our family's narrative. For advanced genealogists, it's a call to dig deeper, ask harder questions, and look for the stories hidden in the margins of history. As the new year approaches, challenge yourself to think differently about your research. Revisit the records you think you've already mastered. Ask why certain events happened when they did. Look for the seasonal and cultural rhythms that shaped your ancestors' lives. And most importantly, tell their stories in a way that honors not just the facts but the humanity behind them. The turn of the calendar is a symbolic moment, but for genealogists, it's also a reminder of the enduring nature of our work. The stories of our ancestors are timeless, waiting for us to uncover them anew with each passing year. Thanks for spending time with me on the Ancestral Findings podcast. I always enjoy sharing these stories, tips, and discoveries with you. If you haven't already, head over to ancestralfindings.com, where you can download a free genealogy ebook, request a free lookup, and of course enter to win the next book giveaway. It's been an incredible journey together since 1995, and your support through these past 29 years means more to me than words can express. I'm so grateful for this wonderful community of genealogy enthusiasts who continue to inspire me every day. Keep up the great work on your family history research, and may your next find be as exciting as your first. Thank you again for being part of this journey, and as always, happy searching.